Hi guys, this is Harry Mattadine from Alkalized to Realize talk show and Holistic Health of Harry. Today we're being joined by a very special guest, Paul Dilly, who I've known for a while now on Facebook, and we talk about the same things. So I really wanted to have you on, Paul, for the longest time, as you know, and here you are today. It's an honor to have you on. So hi, Paul.
Yeah, it's great to be on here. It's great to finally speak to you, Harry. It's all
Right.
good. It's all good.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And we have spoken quickly, but it was a quicker video call, wasn't it? But yes, this one's an official, and you got good information that we'd like to share. You'd like to share with us, and to help us learn. Shall we start with let's go for the big guns, shall we? Because you're a big fan of foraging and free foods and free living. So do you want to talk a little bit about what you do specifically for foraging and free stuff and how powerful it is and why? Why do you do it, bro?
I basically do it because in the back of my head, I've always been conspiracy minded. And I guess, because of that, I've always thought, if the shit does hit the fan and at some point we've got no food source, because I've got a family, I have to be able to sort of look after them. So I tend to think, what would I do? So I started buying myself foraging books. I've got loads of them about picking dandelions, picking nettles, picking wild garlic, all this sort of stuff. Even dandelion root. I've picked a nettle root as well. I put them all into smoothies. Some of the most fantastic smoothies, which you can actually make really tasty. It sounds like something you find at the bottom of your lawnmower, but this stuff is so powerful. Mix it with something that's tasty, and the effects are incredible. I think I had some dandelion root, and I put too much in one day, and this is how powerful it is. And it's really good for the liver. It's a diuretic, apparently. And after having it, I sweated profusely, felt horrible for about half an hour. Then afterwards, I felt incredible, like something had shifted in my body, like maybe it's cleared out my liver, my kidneys. I don't know, not quite sure. I'm quite dubious on the scientific side of things. When they say, "Oh, it does this, does that, does that," I tend to think of myself more energy based. So how does it make me feel, as opposed to, scientifically, when you think of reductionist science, they always break it down to this and that. And I tend to sort of push that aside and say, how do I feel? Because there's so many mistruths out there and lies. Say how you feel, not how, you're supposed to say you feel based on the science that we're told, So, I've spent a lot of time foraging for different stuff. I've had a lot of dandelion, that's very good. The nettles.
Are you doing all this in the UK, by the way? You are in the UK, aren't you? Wales, is it? Correct? Am I correct? You're in Wales?
Yeah, in Pembrokeshire, in southwest Wales. Yeah. And my mum, we're lucky enough my mum's just bought an acre of land, really cheap, with her house, and she's growing all her own vegetables and stuff. But I tend to look beyond that, because I think if the shit hits the fan and we need a food source, people will come here and start stealing all their food, and when I'll be like, great, what do I get from the hedgerows? Even certain times of year, I go and get the blackberries, I go and get the sloe berries, and introduce it to my kids at a young age so they get used to it, because that's really important, because there's so many bad foods out there. And the way it makes you feel is incredible. I think I did a 2-week detox, and I had nothing but these smoothies. I put in avocado, chia seeds, which I soaked alongside sunflower seeds. What else did I put in there? Ginger, mango, and nettles, fennel, lemon balm, which is another great herb. Stuff like mint, which makes it taste really nice, and then a banana. And I did that for 2 weeks, and I went to the toilet, but I was also taking a little bit of turpentine every couple of days, so I didn't want to overdo it with it. And I just started passing these parasites. I was working on a refinery at the time. I said, God, I've got to use the toilet, and I was also excessive, lots of water, distilled water, and I just started passing these great big green parasites about that sort of size.
Whoa, cool.
A big head with a small sort of tail. And I remember going back into the room, and this is what I talk about with energy, energy. And my energy changed as soon as I passed them. I went back into the room to chat to these people, whereas normally I'd be a bit, with loads of people here, I can't really be myself, and everything just flowed, and it was just like, wow. So I'm not saying it's just the parasites, but I think alongside that, the energy these things give you in their sort of raw state is just, it's on a different level. And the beautiful thing is, it's bloody free. You walk out your door, suddenly you've got something that's going to make you feel absolutely amazing, but it's cost you nothing, absolutely nothing. So I think I think people should really be thinking about this. I think it should be shown in. I think schools should educate on this, but obviously they're never going to do that. So I do my best to educate people about it. You know, I'm looking at my window now, and there's plantain up there, which is really, really good for you for so many different things. I'm not quite sure.
I heard about plantain. I didn't know plantain is a UK-based thing. Is it UK? We got plantain in the UK. I didn't know that, mate. I heard of it. Show it.
You might see out the window there. Can you see out the window there?
You can see, yeah. Which one is the plantain, hey?
It's the one with the big brown head on the end of the stalk, directly in front of you. But maybe from this distance you can't. Maybe from this distance you can't really see it because the zoom isn't very good on a tablet. But yeah, all this stuff is amazing. What are your experiences with foraging, Harry? What have you done?
To be honest with you, last time we spoke, I had practically zero. And now, since then, I've had experience with dandelions in my aged urine. So I've been bunging it all in the aged urine instead of making a smoothie. Aged urine, dandelion, nettles, I put in the aged urine, works a treat too. And also the wild garlic, because I was up in the Peak District. And in Peak District, in the National Park, Ilam, there's it's very famous at the springtime, full of the wild garlic. Like, you've seen the sheets, mate, just white garlic everywhere. Like, and I was like, okay, I was worried actually that no one told me, it was famous, but I wasn't sure it was edible. And then you confirmed it with me in a conversation we had recently setting up this. I was like, okay, cool. This wild garlic, it smelled like garlic, obviously, and I was concerned at the time, but now I'm glad I did that. And it seemed to give me a powerful effect to the aged urine. It seemed to my mind, the nettles, the dandelion, and the wild garlic seem to enhance the power and the consistency when you put it on your skin for massaging. It seemed to enhance the consistency and the smoothness of whatever nutrition was in it. I'm sure that the aged urine magnified it, pulled it out, and got it into it, and it smelled beautiful too. It didn't smell like a nasty, like a normal aged urine. Unfortunately, sometimes does smell, doesn't it? Like,
exactly. Sometimes so every time I take a drink, I'm just like, here we go, and but my mum brought me up on eating lots of sort of foods which were incredibly sort of difficult on the palate. You know, stuff like sea urchin, stuff like oyster, stuff like loads of different fish, and always vegetables. So my brother was really sick when he was a child, so she nursed him back using goat's milk and stuff, you know, and probiotics. So I was used to sort of having a plate full of food in front of me that I was going to hate, you know. So from a young age, I just got used to it, and you acquire a taste for things. Then
isn't that the key, bro? Because a lot of people complain about the taste of like aged urine, for example, and other things. But I think like medicine's never supposed to be that tasty. I mean, if you look at cod liver oil that people used to take in the 1900s that, you know, stop vitamin D rickets and shit, that was never tasty. Turpentine's not tasty either. There's a lot of medicine that are very powerful. They're just not meant to be tasty.
Yeah. I've had aged urine before, which for some reason isn't quite as good as the other aged urine. And when I'm tasting it, I'm thinking, oh my God, there's something a little bit wrong with that. And I just down it anyway. And then afterwards, you're like, hey, I feel amazing. I went to a wedding the other day, and I had this aged urine, and I had two wine bottles full of it. Right, I just downed it. It was about 3 weeks old, and I thought, first thing I thought, oh no, am I going to have a really bad? Am I going to start wanting to go to the toilet for number twos? But I didn't. I just felt amazing all day. I felt absolutely incredible, and also the hangover the next day, because I don't usually drink, and I had a good amount of beer all day because it was a wedding. I felt not too bad. A bit tired on the Monday, but okay. Yeah.
You heard it here first, guys. The hangover cure is aged urine before you start drinking alcohol.
But if you can avoid alcohol at all times, do it, because it is the demon. It's the demon, you know. And I think it has got a use, you know, medicinally sometimes. But I think as for sort of recreationally and sort of trying to relax and just having a drink, no. If you're doing that, then you're doing it wrong, as far as I'm concerned. But I have nothing against people that drink, because my girlfriend, she likes a glass of wine and stuff to relax in the evenings, and it works for her. And she has one glass of wine, and that's it. She knocks it on the head, you know. But I think people are changing the way they see things, because there's so much ill health nowadays, you know. And I think you know, if we can sort of look at these things that are free, like deep breathing, like aged urine. In fact, I had a Jehovah's Witness came to my house the other day and knocked on the door, and they're always very interesting because they're quite open-minded. And I mentioned, because she said she took antibiotics, she had bad gums, the teeth were receding, and it was all due to the antibiotics. It was one of the side effects. She had other problems as well. I forget what they were. So I explained to her about urine therapy, and she said, "Oh wow, that sounds amazing." And I mentioned fasting. "Oh wow, that sounds amazing," because I was trying these paleo diets, I was trying kefir, I was trying all these probiotics.
Mm.
I said, "No, keep it simple. Just breathe, go in the sun, and try your urine. If not, try distilled water if that you can't manage that, and watch how your life changes. Because fasting, look at the animals. The animals stop eating for weeks and weeks and weeks if they're ill, and suddenly they're better just by magic. What's happened? They've stopped eating. They've given the energy is gone back into healing the body. Well, you're an expert on this. You know more about this than I do. I do fast in the week. I don't eat in the day, just eat in the evening. And but I mentioned about the sun as well, and how staring at the sun it can actually benefit you. But I wanted to ask you personally, actually, how do you feel after you've been in the sun, like staring at the sun? Because I've done little bits of them of staring at the sun, and because you've done it for sustained periods, do you feel anything like definite, like a huge change?
Just a quick one. Which ones have you done? At what times of day? Because the times of day makes a massive difference to what effects you're getting.
Yeah, it's whenever I get a chance at work, and I haven't done the really early morning one, but
Okay.
I've done a lot of like 12:30, 1 o'clock. I have
Oh,
lunch
wow.
break.
So midday sun gazing.
Yeah.
To me, that midday sun gazing is high UVB vitamin D territory, which they say has no benefits compared to sunrise, sunset, red light therapy. But I disagree. I feel like it balances my brain hemispheres when I do the midday sun gazing. That it really does, because I think we're all out of sync a little bit according to the Matrix, especially left.
Right.
It's left brain dominant school and shit. We've all got damage here. So when we do the midday sun, particularly, it really does rebalance my brain hemispheres and brings me back to a nice calming center. And I don't find a struggle, to be honest with you, bro. I can do quite a long time. I blink, my eyes protect me, so I never worry. And I water sometimes, if it's like 12:30, 1 o'clock, the stronger sun. But I feel like it gives me energy, and it doesn't take away, it adds. And sometimes it'll push me to detox if I've not looked after myself, which is a good thing. So I don't muddle up the detox process with not working. I understand that. That's important information for people. Don't muddle it up, because if something makes you ill, like aged urine 2, it's just part of the process of you healing, not the medicine. The sun is working, the midday sun. But yeah, I find it very powerful. Definitely you should try it at some point. Sunrise, sunset, within 2 hours. It doesn't have to be smack on the hour. So up to 2 hours after. At the moment it's like 4:40 in the morning, the sunrise time officially in the UK. So up to 6:40 if you can. It's in for 5 minutes. It's hard in the UK. I know for us, we don't get a lot of, me and you, Paul. We don't get a lot of cloud non-cloud cover. So
We have to take what we can get, don't we, in this country?
Yeah, that's it. And this is why I recommend to people sun gazing. Like you say, take what you get. Clouds don't come out of. Do sun gazing whenever you can, because there's medicine in the sun. The sun does different things at different times, so does sun gazing. But if you do it any time, just do a couple of seconds, breaking the clouds, go for it. Like today, there was a breaking clouds at lunchtime. Now it's cloudy. I went and did some, and it always enhances your health. It can never take away. It's one of those things. Like you said, it's keep it simple. The sun and urine. What's more simple than breath, sun, grounding too? Grounding, fasting. These are all things. Yeah.
It's like surfers. You get people that go surfing, and they spend so much time in an area where they're picking up on that current, because it's joined to the earth and it's very sort of conductive. And you see them; they're very healthy people. We've got a surfer that works for us, and he always looks like doesn't seem to age.
Yeah, think about that. He's got the negative. He's got the water grounding in the water, supercharged grounding in the water. He's got the sun on his naked skin. Probably he's breathing in a fresh, pure air from the beach, and the beach and the sea air is pure. So he's got a lot of active surfers. If I'm being honest, surfers are probably one of the most healthiest professions I could think possible. I don't know. I think that's probably one of the most healthiest.
And it's a very tough sport as well, trying to get out back past those waves. I do a bit of surfing as well, trying to get back past those waves. Not anymore, because I've got the kids, and doing anything fun like that is impossible anymore. But trying to get out back, is you're tired. You're really tired. It's exhausting. But no, it's good. It's good.
Can we ask you how you got into health and urine therapy? Was it the same thing? Was it at the same time, or was it urine therapy came later? How do you hear about it? These things.
I heard about urine therapy through my two neighbours. There was a guy that was really into conspiracy theories and stuff, and we thought he was a bit nutty. And he was like, "Oh yeah," but he said, "My wife, she's got cancer now, and we're both on this urine protocol." And I remember thinking, "Oh my God, he's lost the plot." He's totally lost the plot, because the other stuff he was talking about, I was thinking, "Oh my God, this is a bit weird." So anyway, I didn't see him for a long time. He moved out, and he was living towards St David's, which is about 20 miles away. and I saw him in the car park, and he was a car park attendant. He had a hat on, and he said, "Hi, Paul, how you doing?" You know, he's a Scottish guy, and I said, "Oh, very good, yeah. How you doing? Long time no see." And he said, "Yeah." I said, "We're better now." He said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Well, I did the urine thing because my wife was ill with cancer. Her cancer's gone." And he said, "Look at this." And he took his hat off. He had a bald patch, and all the hair had grown back. And I said, "What?" So I don't know to what extent he was doing the urine therapy, but it was enough for him to show me that there was, you know, it was grown back. Yeah. And I remember thinking, wow, how much of this stuff have you been on? You know, but I had no chance to speak to him because it was busy. It was the summer. So that bloody works. That is amazing. But the age urine is something else.
How do you hear about that one? How do you hear about age urine? Because we all hear about urine therapy. We don't get into age urine straight away. It takes us a while, doesn't it, to hear about it from someone.
Off someone called Harry, yeah.
Who's that Harry? I don't know who you're talking about, mate.
You're the one. You're my inspiration for that. And the first time I tried it, because I'll try anything, it didn't bother me. And you praised it, you bigged it up so much. I thought I've got to try this. So I gave it a go. I think it was about 3 days old, and I remember feeling amazing afterwards. And you mentioned breathing deeper, and I'd forgotten about that. And suddenly I sat down. I thought, oh my God, that must be the age urine, and I feel really chilled out. But then when you push it further and do a week or 2 weeks, wow. I went to work so anxious because I had to work with this guy I didn't particularly like working with. And I thought, I'm going to save it, especially for this day, so I don't feel anxious. And I didn't feel anxious till about 2 o'clock because I was, you know, for whatever reasons, anxiety does kick in sometimes. And but it sort of protected me for that amount of time. I need to do more work, more detoxing to feel better, you know. But yeah, it's incredible. I can remember soaking my foot in it once, and because my foot was hurting, and I didn't sleep all night, and I had enough energy to go to work the next day. I soaked it in aged urine for about 3 hours when I was watching TV, and just in the bottom of this the washing up bowl. You know, I did wash it clean and afterwards, you know, but it's amazing. Yeah, it's just something else, you know, and it's free, you know, so you're never going to hear about it, and it works. So
bro, so how, we know it's powerful. How do you deal with, how do you deal personally with the smell and being around other people doing it? Do you do it in private? Do you have strategies for smell? And
I think what I do, I put it into my wine bottle, pierce some holes into the lid, and put it on the shelf and leave it there. And there's not too much of a smell. But I think once you start putting it on your skin and stuff and treating conditions externally, then there's a bit of smell in the house. So I would tend to not do that so much. But I've been using it for eye drops, and for years this eye here has been bloodshot badly. You know, I don't know what's been wrong with it. So I made some eye drops with some aged urine, lost the dropper, found it like a few months later, used it on my eyes, and it bloody stung, right? It bloody stung like mad. But I bared with it a little bit and just slowly let it into the eye, you know, and within sort of 3 days, I was working in Penarth at the time, this eye just stopped being bloodshot, and the pain went away because it was like a throbbing pain. I'd had it checked with the opticians. They said it wasn't anything bad, like cancer or anything, which was
I didn't know you could have throbbing pains in the eye. So throbbing pain, actual physical pain in the eye, not just like a looks wise. You actually felt something there.
Yeah, I had that for years. Just every so often, and it was painful. Yeah. And I had it checked out, and they said there's nothing wrong with it as far as we can see, you know. And let's be honest, they're not experts anyway. No. So I put it into my eye. Within 3 days, it cleared up. And then Sarah said to me, my girlfriend, she said, I got this psoriasis, and I spent weeks and weeks talking about the aged urine to the point she'd even consider putting it on her skin. And eventually, she's all right, put a couple of drops on her then. She's like, oh, not too much, you know, she's like that. And so I put some drops on it. Within a week, the psoriasis had just disappeared, gone. Well, we don't know if that did it naturally. Maybe we're coming into springtime. I don't know. But she certainly hadn't had too much sun, and that normally helps with it. But it all cleared up. The whole thing cleared up. So, yeah, I can't rave about that enough. And it's like it's one of those things, you know, you really have to sort of try it yourself to sort of, and then come up with your own idea. But I think so many people look to other people and say, oh, well, what are they saying about it and stuff? Just try it, and see how you get on, because it's incredible. Yeah, everything is so accessible and free, and it's there on your doorstep. So many people spend so much time in these health food shops, going online, getting this latent shaga mushrooms and stuff like this. Well, I'm not saying they're bad. You know, but bloody hell, you know, your food sources out in the countryside.
What are you saying, Paul? You're saying that these supplements aren't as powerful, possibly, as aged urine and free nettles and dandelion. Is that what we're saying here?
I'm saying everything, all the good things in life are free, you know, and it's a very good saying, and it's true. You know, it's like I look outside now. When I look outside and I think foraging, I think, like, what can I put into a smoothie? I look out there, I see hawthorn leaves, which are completely edible. But one thing to look out for, though, is if you're having wild garlic, bluebell leaves look exactly the same. And,
Bluebell leaves, you said? Bluebell.
Yeah, bluebell leaves, yeah, but they're very, very toxic.
Oh.
And I tried them one day. I was walking down. I thought, oh, there's wild garlic. And someone said, oh, a bit early for wild garlic. I thought, oh, no, it's fine. Picked it up, didn't think about it, put it in my mouth, started chewing it, and my lips were buzzing and went really badly inflamed. So I spat it back out. And so there's one to look out for, because it does look like that. Obviously, foxgloves I can see out there, they're poisonous as well. But anyway, if I was to look out here, I'd see so much to eat, like plantain, I'd see out here to eat. I'd see the nettles out here. I'd see the hawthorn berries, which are full of vitamin C as well, which are out there. Obviously, there's not much to them, and they're not really that tasty. But hey, you know, pick enough of them and put them into a smoothie.
Can I ask about the stinging nettle? I just bunged the stinging nettle straight in the aged urine. It didn't seem to sting. It took the stinger out. Is that a fair observation on my part? The stinging just went completely. It was safe to eat. Like,
Yeah, maybe. I've never tried it, but putting it soak it into the aged urine. But I'm sure it does. Sure, it does help. You know, I think it's quite nice to look at a foraged point of view, because people will start growing them vegetables, and it's quite time consuming. Oh, I'm looking after myself. I've got my organic veg and stuff. You know, how about just disregard that, because your garden's out there and it's completely free. It's how liberating is that? You know, but it's sort of like getting your kids to sort of come round to that way of thinking then, you know, because, you know, they're always told 3 square meals a day, you know, and I'm slowly trying to teach them, because Sarah does her best, in fairness. She's a very, very good mother. And but she's very old school, where she'd be like 3 square meals, where I'm more like, there's fruit there, help yourself. If you're not hungry, don't eat anything, you know, and keep it like that. But out there now, there's foraging to me is just it's everything, you know. It's put it into your smoothie with all these other things, make it taste nice. Put in a few seeds, get your omega-3s and things, you know. But saying that, you know, I'm still sort of, you know, towards sort of aged urine and fasting, you know, rather than have anything, you know. And but if you want to have food, you know, go out and pick some food. It's fun. It's something to do, isn't it? You know, the kids can get involved. But the nettles are really good, because you can get the nettle seeds as well, which are very similar to hemp seeds, and you'll find them at the end of the summer. And if you pick off loads of those and put them into the smoothie, that's really good. What else to put in? I picked some nettle root. We were there for ages, like trying to find some nettles. Found some nettles, dug down. There's this big, thick yellow root. We scraped that all off and put that into a smoothie. The way I've made myself feel on this stuff, you know, going from someone that was hugely anxious, agoraphobic to a little point as well. My life was so bad. I think I was about 18. I was thinking, oh God, I want to kill myself because I can't really be myself. Where inside, I always thought to myself, wow, there's a different part of me that wants to come out, you know, but can't express himself.
Was those problems when you were younger due to physical complications? You're saying they were physical disease, not emotional. It was physical problems, issues that were fixed by physical protocols that you're talking about, or health.
I think the problems stemmed from bad diet. I think it was a lot of sugar in the diet. I think it was going to school and giving a free rein, giving my pocket money, going straight to the shop in the morning, buying like 3 custard slices and buying like a load of Mars bars, and that'd be my breakfast. And then when it came to sort of lunchtime, get some chips. And at home, I'd have good food, but there I was just, you know, just a free rein with this money just to make myself very, very ill and sick. And I think that's where it stems from. And then I had some antibiotics later on, and that perpetuated it, made it worse and worse and worse. And then I had a bit of candida. And I think this is very common to a lot of people, because we're, you know, anything goes wrong, and we at one point in our lives we are going to get sick. The doctor says antibiotics, it's not clearing up, off you go. And so it's but the anxieties are really bad, and to come out the other side and sort of to do it myself without using any sort of pharmaceuticals is really good, you know, because I used to look at the pharmaceuticals, and I remember someone saying, oh, why don't you go on beta blockers? They're really good for, or Valium and stuff, they're really good for like anxiety. I remember thinking to myself, not a hope. You know, from a young age, I always knew that there was something inherently bad with anything Big Pharma pushing. This is before I got into any conspiracy stuff. I always knew it was bad, you know. So that's good. That's sort of, so maybe that's my higher self protecting me now and putting me on this path, because I think once you go down that road, it's very difficult to get off. People get addicted to it, and I guess they can't see the wood from the trees, and they sort of think, oh, this is the only option I've got, you know. And it does help to an extent, but it makes it worse. Side effects are, it'll make you anxious, you know. So yeah, so I can remember, I think once I got to a point, I wasn't eating during the day, and it's such a long path. I wish someone had told me this when I was barely 18.
Yeah, same here. Yeah, I can relate.
So simple. Just don't go without any food in the morning. Wake up. You're gonna get a little bit hungry. Let that pass. Keep on going out throughout the day, and then about 5 o'clock, have something to eat. You know, and make sure it's good, because your body hasn't had anything for a long time, and you're going to damage it otherwise. And then you come back, you're full of energy, even though you haven't eaten. You've got time for people. You want to speak to them. You feel good in yourself. And what's not to like about that? You know, then you know everything that God, you know, if you're religious, says, you know, is natural and grows from the garden. Eat that, or like Jesus did, you know, within 40 days of not eating. Of fasting out in the desert, and he felt, you know, these are sort of stories we need to sort of cling on to. You know, I don't know if people are listening to this will be religious or not, but you know,
I can remember when I was younger, no one told me about fasting either. My parents brought me up on, before school, we used to have breakfast, right? Typical breakfast, Weetabix was my favorite. Weetabix is absolute bullshit. It's the nutrients are taken out of the wheat. But then to add it worse, the new Weetabix, I had them, the pasteurized milk, full fat, the blue one, is it full fat or free fat? So, and then I always wondered as a kid, I guess I must have been kind of awake, because I thought, why have I got no energy, lack of energy from after I eat my Weetabix? And people are telling me, my mum and dad are telling me that I'm supposed to be energetic after the Weetabix. It makes me strong and builds up my bones. But I was always like, I feel worse after I've had the Weetabix at school. So I was like, what the hell? And now I understand why. Why did no one tell me at school that this stuff is like poison? We've got the milk, we've got the pasteurization, we've got the Weetabix, we've got a combination of, we don't need to break a fast in the morning with all the bad foods. And that's not how you teach kids to get them up to learning. It's not efficient for the brain. You'll feel lazy, lethargic, and it's crazy. It's madness.
Yeah, it is completely nuts. Because even some of the old scholars used to say, don't eat the night before, don't eat in the morning, come to my class, you'll be able to concentrate then. And they were like, well, what do you mean? You say, well, fasting's very important, and you'll be able, you know, what's happening in your gut is happening in your brain as well, you know. So if you're not clogging up with lots of food, your energy is saved for concentration, sort of healing, or whatever else, you know. It's all this stuff is such a revelation, you know. It really is, you know. And it's stuff that obviously we did know a long time ago, but the authorities have pushed forward all this other new nonsense stuff, which we sort of have jumped on. And you look at the state of the world, you know, and they don't even realise there's a problem. That's how far it's gone. You know, I say to people about fasting at work, and I'll be like, oh, you should do it fasting. Fasting? No, I get too hungry. You know, I can never.
I'm going to die. I'm going to die if I don't eat in a couple of hours. Oh, no.
But I think the trouble with thinking like this sometimes is you ostracize yourself from so many people, and you end up in a situation where half your friends just disappear off the radar, and you're like, oh, all right. Well, a lot of them were drinking buddies, in fairness, from years ago. You know, just you'd have a few beers with them, but as soon as you go down a different route, they just don't really want to know you, do they? You know, unless they're family and they have to. You know. Yeah. So it's a lonely path, and then you realise actually it's not a lonely path, because you start feeling so good, you don't really give a shit what they think anyway. You know. So, and you kind of hope that they will go down that path themselves, you know. But I've got a friend, I think I mentioned, he's like drinking all the time, and he's starting to shake like this. Or he said, every time I have a drink, I'm shaking. I said, give it up, mate. You know, give it up. And then I think of the implications if he was to give it up, seeing as all his friends go to the pub, and suddenly he has no friends, you know, and he'd be so lonely. You know, because that is his life, going to the pub every night and having a few beers just to make himself relax, you know. So it's a hard one. It's a hard transition. But once your health, but the health is so key. And he's got children. Health is so key. You know, without your health, you are, you know, you may as well not be alive. You know, really, if it's gone that far, because there's Parkinson's out there, there's Alzheimer's. I'm not saying I know how these are caused, but you know, they are definitely a byproduct of a bad diet and a bad way of living. You know, and I don't know. In the future, hopefully, we'll see more people. You know, try this. You know, the fasting.
I think we already are. Look at what we're doing right now, me and you. Look at our people, our friends on Facebook. Look at the people that are going to watch this. Look at the people that I'm meeting up in the real life, that I've made friends on Facebook in the real world. They're not a lot of us, but there's enough of us. And think of this, bro. The information has been passed down to me and you. We didn't invent this information about urine therapy. We didn't wake up and have this idea. It was passed down by good humans, that this knowledge is suppressed, but it's still there. the knowledge on health, the knowledge on conspiracies and the truth and the realities is there. It's not like whoever's bad is not completely wiped it out. It's still there for us to tap into. So
yeah, exactly. You're completely right. And you know, because I've been trying different healing modalities for years, whether it be urine, whether it be water, distill water. I do energy work, healing, hands-on healing. I do my own sort of. I've done Reiki, matrix energetics and stuff, and I incorporate that when I'm doing a detox and do healing on myself and healings. And sometimes, and then if I do like 3 rounds of like Wim Hof breathing on top of the aged urine, and just tick all these boxes, wow, you just feel amazing. You walk downstairs and the kids can sense the energy, and they're like, "Oh, Dad!" and they run towards you, and they're you know, and they're just playing with you, and you're back in that state where you'd come out your mother's womb and you were just full of joy in that alkaline urine that you're swimming around in.
Yeah.
And you're back in that state, you know, so you've gone back to that state, and that's what they're trying to hide from us, you know. So
yeah,
it's amazing, you know. And you know, I think you are my biggest inspiration in terms of sort of every time I'm feeling, oh God, I'm not sort of, you know, not having any good food and stuff, I see your stuff and I think, right, let's start sun gazing. So I'm out there, you know, and it's always a good reminder whenever I see you on Facebook, you know, because you're quite sort of you're quite uplifting, you know, to sort of listen to you, you know, talking about it, you know, which is good. But yeah, I think what I'll do, I'll make up a smoothie and I'll make a video of it and I'll put it on your page so you can see all the things I've got and like explain what they are and how much I normally put in. You know, but you know, it's not, there's no hard and fast rules as to how much you put in. You know, but you know, it just gives someone a guideline. If some people do ask more questions, you know,
definitely do it once we post the video up for sure. Can we touch base a little bit on, you went to I believe some kind of 5G was it 5G network awareness EMF what was it, an event with Jack Catran? Can you talk a little bit about what your opinion is on 5G? Is it healthy? Is it unhealthy? What did you learn there? What do you want to get the information for us?
I think I'm about as much in the dark as anyone really. All I do know about it is it's a military grade weapon. It will be put as there'll be sort of these antennae or receivers every few hundred meters. I think by law, once it's been sort of pushed through the development stages, they'll just put it. You'll have no option but to have one outside your house and stuff. And it's like microwave technology, and it's just going to damage you and heat your body up and radiate you. That's as much as I know. All I would like to sort of hear would be people coming out with different sort of ideas. No, I don't think you can say too much on social media, but I think a group of people need to get together on the quiet and work out a way to sort of make this problem go away, because at the moment it doesn't sound like it's going to be particularly good for our health. And I worry, you know, people have said, oh, is it weather manipulation? Is it something to do with you know, controlling our minds? Is it this or that, this and that? I don't know. I've no idea. You know, I'm still trying to work out in my head what it is, and I hope by the time I do work out what it is that is a problem, I'm not sort of very, very sick and ill from it. My mum and dad have actually got a tower in the distance, which is about a mile away. So that's that. But I think that's not really going to be too much of a problem, because they're actually putting these individual ones everywhere, you know, dotting them. But the worst thing is they're cutting all the trees down to allow for the signal. I think in Newcastle there was like 100,000 trees cut down, or it might be 10,000. Don't quote me on that, but there was a lot of trees, a hell of a lot of trees, and it was all in preparation for this, you know. But they're keeping very quiet about it, and if someone's keeping quiet about it, they've got something to hide. And if they've got something to hide, it could potentially be something quite nasty. And they've done none of their health and safety checks either to see if this sort of stuff is sort of conducive with a healthy environment for people to live in once these antennas are set up. So it'll be interesting and watch this space. But I think we have to look at this from a vigilante point of view and sort of see these things and do whatever we feel necessary in our vicinity to make sure they're not working. You know, that's probably one thing I would suggest people do. You know, get creative. You know, and go from there. I know really powerful magnets, you know, which you can buy. People do magnet fishing in canals and stuff. You can buy them for about £17 online. They can really mess up electronics. So I don't know. Maybe that's something people want to think about. You know, I'm not saying people should do this or do that, but it's definitely something people may want to think about. You know, but these are interesting times. I think the more we're becoming awake, the more they have to push through whatever the agenda is. And I don't think it's, you know, even the people that don't believe in conspiracy theories, must be thinking, what the hell's going on? You know,
Yeah.
and these are crazy times, really, really
3G
crazy
to
times.
4G to 5G to 6G to 7G. Where does the madness end? And it's going, and it's not just 4G to 5G. It's quite a jump. It's not just like a little bit. It's like a 10,000 times faster kind of thing. So it is a bit concerning, very concerning, in fact. So.
Somebody put on Facebook that, you know, one of the best things for that would be a aluminium hat, a tinfoil hat, you know. So
Might well be.
if the cat fits, wear it,
Yeah.
you know. And maybe, you know, but I don't know. Then we'll see what the future holds. I don't think, you know, I worry about people that come together as a group, you know, these big organised groups, and think, you know, are they being organised? You know, because we went to this organised group and they took our email addresses, you know, and they said, oh, in case we need to. I was thinking, why would you want my email addresses? You know, I don't trust anyone that says they're a leader of this or leader of that. You know, I think we should be thinking about this individually and sorting out, you know, take back the power, because otherwise you give all this power to the leader and you go home and think, oh, that was okay, I turned up at that event today, and they're going to sort it all out, you know. But you have to think about it individually and become vigilant, you know, and you know, do stuff in the black and white when you've got your hood up, you know, and just sort of, you know, away from CCTV and do whatever's necessary, I guess, you know, sometimes, you know.
You know, I'm down for vigilantism, but I will say, for my own personal opinion, I'm very optimistic, because, do you know, smart meters, they try to push them for a while, but a lot of people are refused, and they don't even work properly, bro. The ones that are there, they're very inefficient. So they might be doing something evil, but they're not working. Well, 5G has just been released in end of May. There's the first network. They released it in 5 cities: Liverpool, Manchester, where was that? Cardiff. I'm not sure the other two. I can't remember off the top of my head. But the point is that apparently the coverage has been very poor, and only in the city centres, and not even the whole of the city centres. So what my belief is, they are struggling. Now, whether that's an accident or divinity, or is it humans that are interfering with that, I don't know. But I think my prediction is it's going to take a long time for them to get the entire network in the UK. Now, it's already in some cities, in Los Angeles, in America, already fully installed. But in our country, they're having problems already, just like smart meters. And I think it might come eventually, but it's going to take a long time. The longer it takes, the better, because that gives us more opportunities to stop them and to see what's stopping them. Because think about it, bro. They've got lots of money. Why is it inefficiently not working properly? They've got the money. They've got the devious intent. So why is it not working? Something's going on. Something's stopping them. Is it vigilantes are stopping them? Who knows, right? So there could be vigilantes right now stopping them, you know?
Exactly. Yeah, it's a very, very good point. Yeah, because no one's going to broadcast this because it's been rolled out nationwide. You know, you got to be very careful, otherwise you get locked up, you know, for criminal damage, you know. So I kind of like the thought that maybe someone's doing something, you know. I think we all have to get off our ass and do something, you know, and make a sort of you know, make a stance against this stuff. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what the future brings. But
also, another thing I've been thinking about too is that if it gets really bad and the world has 5G, and it is as bad as people say, and everyone comes around with diseases, shouldn't it be like cigarette smoking? So eventually everyone can't not see it, because it's so bad, and everyone connects the dots. Even the most oblivious sheep will be like, holy shit, you know, everyone's got diseases now. It must be the 5G. And then it gets into a cigarette phase of like people starting to realize, okay, it's new cigarette smoking. Therefore, we get into a phase of banning it the whole world over. But of course, the problem is that will mean a sacrifice of a lot of humans to get to that point, right?
Ronnie, 2 minutes. I'll be out there, darling. Get your toy, darling. There we go. No, it's my daughter. Ronnie, say hello.
Hello. Hi.
Oh, she's
shy. Okay.
Ronnie, go out there, darling, and I'll be back in 2 minutes, darling. Please, okay? Go make me a cup of tea. Come on, see you in a minute.
Okay, bro, we'll conclude. So is there any last message? It's been brilliant, by the way. Thank you very much for the information you've given us on age, urine, foraging. Fascinating, free stuff. I love your bias, bro. I love your work on Facebook too. I'm always keen to support you and your work. But is there any last message you'd like to get across to the viewers? Information, anything you're passionate about, or anything you think is important to help other people? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's one thing. I think people have to recognise and to notice it's a problem. People's addictions to food. I think people need to come out and say, I've got an addiction to food, in the same way they would with alcohol, and really take it seriously as to how they go forward and come off this food and come up with different alternative ways of sustaining themselves. Because I think as a society, we'll become more awake once we detox our bodies and get away from this shit it is just shit that's been created to sort of make us sicker and iller, you know. So recognize you've got a problem, and make positive step forwards and think about the children. You know, that's my philosophy. Yeah,
Yeah,
you know,
even it's like little intermittent fasting you're talking about, not even proper fasting, just intermittent daily, right?
yeah, just make little steps and
Mm.
see how good it makes you feel. You know, and always think of yourself as a warrior. Don't think of it, and remember, if you can give up food and start fasting, you are a warrior. You're not just someone that stopped eating. You know, it's like trying to give up heroin sometimes. So this stuff is like crack. You know, so you have to sort of think of yourself as a warrior going forward. Otherwise, if you don't have that warrior mentality, you'll just be like, oh, it doesn't matter. And then you reach 40, you've got diabetes. You know, you lose your sight. You know, whatever. You know, so you know, I think you have to take seriously your diet. You have to take seriously the way you look after yourself. Otherwise, you know, you're just going to make yourself so sick. You know, that's the final point I want to make. You know, that people should think about their diet, and that's about it, mate. It's been great speaking to you. I'll have to head off now and go and see my daughter.
Yeah,
She's getting it. But it's been amazing speaking to you, and I'd love to do a video on some of the forage I've done. I'll do a little sort of a video, and we'll have a chat to you and go through everything I'm going to make. I'll show it zizzed up, see what it looks like, and people who have an idea, because I don't want people going out there and saying, "Oh my God, I've just had like sort of, you know, a load of bluebell leaves, and now I'm spewing and being sick." Right. You know, I'm never having a smoothie again. You know, but maybe from a safety point of view. But buy some books on foraging and with color photographs and stuff, so you know exactly what you're taking. You know, and have fun doing it, and take the kids out. Very important. Teach the kids. You know, the kids be lost otherwise. You know, we can't just have a group of us at the age of 40 running around having all this good food without showing our children. It's pointless otherwise, you know, because they'll get sucked into this sort of synthetic life otherwise. And that's one of the things I don't want to see, you know. So it's all good.
Thank you very much. I acknowledge your work, and you're a warrior yourself. We both are. So thank you very much, people watching. Thank you, Paul, for your time. This was Harry from Outhouse to Realize Talk Show. Harry and the Holistic Health of Harry. And Paul will put, Paul, if you could make those videos for us at some point in the future, before we release this in a couple of weeks, then that'd be great too. So, all right, guys. Thank you, Paul. I'll just stop recording now.